the decision was made by Owen, and back in after the debacle we had with him on Met Day when he got scratched at the start of the Cape Flying Championship. But I always knew he was very special, and one run that sticks out as he didn't even win the race was probably his best performance that I'd seen. Was a pinnacle race at Scottsville.
Welcome to another edition of In the Box Seat podcast, and we've got a guest on our podcast today that's been on this platform quite a few times actually, but not because we, just want to waste his time, give him extra exposure, because it's been a valid reason every time we've had him on. And today's just as special a reason because we all know what's just happened in America for South Africa horse racing. And we'll talk a bit more to Peter Muscutt about that in a moment. But before I officially introduce him, I just want to introduce my colleague, because last week you were at the tax fair, and that's why you were a non-starter.
Now, for me a non-starter, I didn't see my tax bill.
Because now you missed last week because of the tax. This week we've got Peter. Next week I'm at the dentist. So we're doing well, you and me.
Yeah, I've been right, yeah.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome Andrew, of course, as always. And of course, trader Peter Muscutt to our podcast. Pete, how are you?
Very well, thanks. Just recovering from my extended long trip.
Still got a bit of jet lag, is it?
Yes.
Pete, it's very real jet lag, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad going backwards. It's the return trip. Then it hits you hard. So yeah, it's a 17-hour flight from Johannesburg to Atlanta. And then I had a little layover there, another 4.5-hour flight from Atlanta to San Diego. So, yeah, it's a long traveling time.
It's a long travel, yeah, indeed. And obviously it plays its part on humans. What's it like with horses? I mean, because they travel that exact same route.
Yeah, I would expect it affects them in exactly the same way. They in an environment that they're not used to, cooped up on a plane like that, obviously they can't get up and walk around and exercise, so I'm sure it must affect them the same way.
Absolutely. Of course, two of the cell horses are from South Africa that held the flag high for us, Isivunguvungu, who we're going to talk about, and Beach Bomb. And I'm sure, Peter saw Beach Bomb and he could comment too, but I want to start with Isivunguvungu, right back to the beginning. How did you find this horse, or did Hollywood find you with the horse? How did you find Isivunguvungu?
Yeah, Hollywood allocated the colt to me as a yearling. From memory, I think he arrived in July of his yearling year, so he wasn't even 2 yet. A lot of growing still to do at that stage, but he was one of your typical White Winters, strong, well-made colt. Good attitude on him. Basically, from day one, as soon as we put him into work, which I found over the years is a very relevant pointer to look at. They give you that feel from straight away.
Okay.
And he was possessed of a very good action. His attitude was very good. So right from the start, I was very encouraged by what I saw, and certainly I thought he had a future, but not quite the future that, looking back now, he's had.
And that was the next question I was going to ask you is, when did you think and say to the Hollywood team, hang on, we've got something here, and you just answered that. So he showed it right from the beginning. And as Peter says, you look back, we all knew, and we know he never won the race on the big festival weekend, but he certainly won before, which was a scintillating performance. But irrespective, you talk to people along the way. The fact that the horse, and we said it on TV many times, was just in the race is a huge win in its own right.
No, for sure, but Peter, I mean, you've trained all over the world, you've been all over the world. What gave you the confidence to say that this horse could be competitive on the national stage?
Well, yeah, the decision was made by Owen and after the debacle we had with him on midday when he got scratched at the start of the Cape Flying Championship. But I always knew he was very special, and one run that sticks out as he didn't even win the race was probably his best performance that I'd seen was a pinnacle race at Scottsville.
The seams further back in the running. Winter Baron. Pico coming to the 300-meter marker. Isivunguvungu now applies big pressure, still hands and heels. Tempting fate on the extreme outside. Isivunguvungu comes into the lead, 150 to go. And it's Isivunguvungu oozing class with another mesmerizing performance. Won it easily.
He was doing heaps of weight to the entire field. And he stumbled coming out the gates. Richard nearly fell off him that day. So he was on the back foot properly. But he then proceeded to do something that I've never seen in any horse before, in that he ran 4 10 and change seconds in a row. For any horse to do that was a phenomenal performance. And I thought, this bloke, we know he's good. He'd already achieved a lot by then already, but that sticks out in my mind. That was probably his best performance ever. And
he didn't win. I mean,
he ran second. Richard was soft on him late. He was obviously eating up the ground, but he was, after the first furlong, he was way out of his ground. And then he upped the ante, and the sectionals that I saw were amazing.
Talking about eating up the ground, just those words have sparked the thought in my mind. So we'll come back to remind me, because I'll forget about how the importance of Hollywood Park and the America was Owen and why he was so lonely to have a runner there. We'll talk about that. But talking of eating up the ground, that one race with that magnificent filly, Soul of an Angel. I mean, what the performance! I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life, to be quite honest with you. And she walked out the bend.
Yeah.
Did you watch that race?
Yeah.
I know you did watch all the races.
It was impossible for you to win. Impossible.
The whole complex heard me because, and Candice had sent some photographs of it. She was just a beautiful filly. And the gates opened and you saw you this year. And how she won, I've never seen that before. Yeah. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it was.
But anyway, back to the importance of Hollywood. And that's how it all started for Owen and his whole family. They've always been Breeders' Cup supporters. I mean, the company was named Hollywood after Hollywood Park Racecourse and all the rest of it, which is no longer, but certainly Hollywood, South Africa is very much longer. So for him, it must have been just what an achievement and what a dream. I mean, for him, it would have been a non-negotiable. I mean, to get there to race.
Yeah, no, obviously, I think that they've been travelling to the Breeders' Cup since 1997, if I'm correct. Haven't missed one. So, it's always something that they've aspired to, and finally having a horse good enough to take the chance with and send him over, and they put their money where their mouth was, sent the horse over to the States with the aim of trying to get him into the Breeders' Cup. So I think it's a huge feather in their caps to have taken the chance. He had Group 1s at his mercy here, and I do feel he should have probably won 4 Group 1s instead of the 2 that he won. He was very unlucky in the previous year. In the Cape Flying Championship, where Christoph Sumua rode him, he was travelling so easily behind him, and when Christoph switched him out to make his run, so going through the 300, he was still travelling on the bit, and he changed legs and he pulled a shoe off, but he pulled half his wall off with the shoe. So he said from stretching to his max to really shortening his stride dramatically after he pulled the shoe. He still ran third in the race, but that should have probably been the Group 1 number 3. And then I thought he was a living certainty in the Cape Flying Championship the following year. And he got spooked behind the pens as soon as they took his earmuffs off. The drone lowered, and he got a fright from the drone and just galloped straight into the starting stalls and sliced his shoulder open. So So technically speaking, I think he should have been a 4-time Group 1 winner heading to America.
Tell me, Pete, how did you find Graham Motion Mills as trainer?
Absolutely outstanding.
His wife's name was Anita. Is that right? Graham and Anita.
Graham and Anita. What lovely people. They couldn't have been more accommodating. On my first morning there, I went to the track early. They came and picked me up from the hotel. Graham very kindly took me with him to watch Isivunguvungu exercise. He didn't do too much on a Thursday morning. Then there was horses going clockwise, anti-clockwise, trotting, cantering, galloping. So he took it all in very well. And the young man that was riding him, who's an ex-apprentice from England, did a very good job keeping him under wraps. He had him nice and relaxed. They even took him into the starting stalls on the Thursday. So he just walked him in. He stood like an absolute gentleman he is. And they said, no, you've got to stand now, because there were horses coming up the straight towards him. Then they were just about to let him out. He said, oh no, you've got to wait a little while again. The horses going the other way. And he just took it all in his stride, so.
And funny you say, to interrupt you mentioned that they did that, because actually on the night at the race meeting with Night South Africa Day there was a bit of problems at the start, and the pegs at the start, so he had to be...
Yeah, as he's grown older, first of all, his racing manners have improved dramatically. I think his association with Richard Fourie did him, so cemented his career basically, because Richard got on really well with him and taught him to settle. His ride in the Mercury Sprint was 11 out of 10 ride, where he went to the front, he was drawn deep. He managed to get him to split halfway through the race and still have enough left, because the 6 furlongs, I have no doubt in my mind, is too far for him. But he managed. Before the race, he said, if you see him pricking his ears going through the 900, he said, you can go wait in the first box for me.
Sure. That's how confident he was.
Yeah.
So back to Graham and Anita Motion. Sorry, I interrupted you. So just wonderful people.
Consummate professionals, lovely couple, obviously run a very good ship. Their racing manager, Jane, is a lovely girl as well. She's on the ball with everything. Just the entire staff was an absolute pleasure, and they showed me a lot of courtesy and were more than accommodating the whole trip.
Was he recommended to you by Neil Bruss?
No, Michael de Kock
you said
suggested Graham. Yeah, he's a very good trainer. He trained Animal Kingdom. He's a Kentucky Derby winning trainer. He's won the Dubai World Cup, numerous other Group 1s in America. And although he's British, I think he told me he's been in the States since he was about 16.
Sure. So you mentioned you were British, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. But just the consummate professional.
He also trains beach bomb. What were your thoughts on beach bomb? I mean, you're obviously South African horse. You would have seen it. The party were there too, and they're lovely that they came out as well.
Yeah, she was actually stable right next to Isivunguvungu.
Okay.
I thought her run, it was a very good run. And if you analyse the sectionals of the race, they just went far too slow for her up front. I think it was one of the slowest tempo race run on the whole card.
Yes.
So technically speaking, where she was set, she had no chance of running down. But to her credit, she kept on running to the line. But I just think the sectionals early were her undoing.
Well, going to that to Isivunguvungu, I mean, they went clapping.
And that took him out.
Yeah, well, the favourite in the race was called Coburn. When he walked in the parade ring, my lip just dropped. He's an absolute beast of a horse.
Okay, Coburn.
Yeah, and he is the world record holder, which he'd set in his penultimate start. He ran 59 and change for 1100 metres, world record. So he's the fastest horse in the world, basically. And his style of racing, he just jumps and runs. So for us to be competitive in the race, we had to be positive out the gate. But he's just got such phenomenal early gate speed that he even tapped us. By his own admission, later on, when I spoke to Manuel Franco after the race, he said he had, his plan was to obviously be as positive and try to get a position overcoming the 10 draw. He said he mustered speed very well. The European horse, I think, Washi, or I can't remember the name exactly, he went with them, with Holly Doyle on. And in retrospect, which as though is an exact science, we should have taken a sit behind that horse instead of kicking out underneath him, which I think would have made a huge impact on the final result of the race. So the first 400 meters of the race was running 21 and something. So they were literally flying. And although Isivunguvungu was a very quick horse, Manuel was never really left him alone just to try to stay in touch with the favourite. But to his credit, he kicked at the top of the straight. The frenetic early gallop told on Coburn inside the last furlong, and he stopped to nothing. So the entire race was set up for a swooper. The winner, Starless, came from last. He really got going in the last furlong.
I'm surprised he actually kept the race.
Well, you see, he never interfered with any of the other placed horses. So I think if we'd run fourth or something,
and he cut right across.
Yeah, it was a twofold, two-pronged interference. The grey horse laid in, and Rossaran, he did have a big gap on the inside. The Red Sea opened up on the inside of Coburn, so if he'd gone in rather than going out, it would have put a whole different complexion on the race. Unfortunately, we got sandwiched between the two horses. Manuel was adamant that bar the interference, he said he feels the horse wasn't lying down. He said he took evasive action himself before Isivunguvungu took the evasive action when he saw the sandwich coming. So he said he obviously folded his stride there and lost momentum, and then he had to snatch him up. Otherwise,
He's only 2 legs back.
2 legs back, after being snatched up, and he obviously didn't persevere the last 50 meters or something with him. So, I honestly feel that if he did a regular race again, he would have taken more of a sit on him, used his gate speed, put him in a striking position, and then let him get into his rhythm a little bit better. But he never left him alone the whole race. He was at him, so he was basically at his top and was entitled to start wanting to lie down late.
Sure.
But to his credit, he wasn't.
Absolutely, it was two legs.
That was
two legs off the winner,
Well, that's a hell of a thing. I mean, go all the way to Imperial Care. Everybody's confident and you get done, and it's
Well, it was quite an amazing experience. Obviously, there was a big party of Hollywood people that went over, so we were all sat together. Came out the parade ring, and they had an owner's viewing platform right on the finish line, so we all stood together and watched the race together. And when he started to quicken, going through the two-pole, the roar was there, and obviously the disappointment post-interference was very evident for everyone to see. So from being on a high, I think we were in with the shout, and then for that to happen late in the race, it was nice.
What's it like standing in that parade ring, as a South African with your people around you? And it just really what an emotion that running through.
It was clearly one of the highlights of my time in racing. First of all, very honoured and privileged that Isivunguvungu made it into the Breeders' Cup. Very honoured and privileged that Owen made it happen for me to go and see the horse race.
That was so interrupt. That was a big. I mean, that could have left you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was a huge touch. I thought.
It was great. No,
I can't thank them enough and show my appreciation.
for the gesture, you know. Very well organised in the parade ring. Each horse has got a number on a stick, put it that way, and so all the connections go and stand around that number. There's nothing higgledy-piggledy about it. Each person holding the number is there to assist you as they once the jockeys had mounted and you were at the parade ring. They took us to the owner's viewing stand, showed us exactly where to go. So it was all very slick, very well organised. A feather in the cap of the Breeders' Cup organisers. They had it all very much under control.
The media, we were just talking, Andrew and I, and you off air. First question, before we go any further. In your opinion, what is the importance of media?
It's of the utmost importance to our industry. Obviously, in days gone by, under different betting circumstances, people used to try and keep the information to themselves. But in the open betting market, as we find ourselves now, the more information that trainers, jockeys, even the owners can deliver to the media so that the betting public can sort of digest all that information and then make an honest, calculated assessment of each individual horse, and then give themselves the opportunity of making their own choice where to put their money. So those days of trying to keep information to a privileged few are far gone, and I think the more that people can realise that, in different racing jurisdictions, the more information that's spread via the media to the punching public, the happier they are, and they also get educated too about different things that can happen in a race or pre-race. So I just think that the onus is on us who are directly involved with preparation of horses to go and race, is to deliver as much information that you can to the racing public to encourage them to bet.
Yeah, I remember David Payne, when he first moved to Australia, one of the first pieces of advice he was given was be open media.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'll chew you up in odds.
100%. And they're very knowledgeable people themselves.
Yes.
They work long hours, they study form properly. There's
You hear that? Study form properly.
and really properly. I mean, they create speed maps based on horses' previous running style. So they've got everything very much under control there. And the betting public expects that sort of information to be disseminated.
Bayer's speed rate.
Now there's numerous different formulations and publications, but you can basically go into a race in Australia and all the guesswork's taken out. So you, from your barrier, say you draw barrier 6 in a 10-horse race, there's a couple of speed horses underneath you. There's some pace outside, as you say. You can basically calculate where you should be in the run to be competitive.
See, they've got the form all wrong in the Melbourne Cup. 90-1.
Yeah, very, very disappointing for the favourite backers. I know Joe Moreira has taken a huge hammering from the connections and from the racing media over his ride on Buckaroo, but he was drawn 21, and I think I read the article last night, and they wanted him to try and get into about a midfield position, because the Melbourne Cup is always, or normally run, they go for 3 furlongs and then they latch on. So even though it's a 2-mile stamina test, it very often evolves into a sit and sprint race. So he dragged him back. He couldn't get in. It was, what people don't realise is that if you've got another 10 horses vying, trying to get in the same position as you, it's hard to go through them.
Riders understand, those around here.
So, to his credit, the horse still ran on very well, but he felt the horse didn't quite see out the 2 miles anyway.
No, I'd hesitate to be people sort of blame it.
Yeah.
So when you got there, Pete, obviously the media wanted as much of your time as possible, and quite rightly so. Now, I did see a couple of interviews, and that were put out on social media, phenomenal. But it is what it is. I mean, and of course you do it with a smile on your face because you know the impact.
Yeah.
What at the races? Sorry, not at the races. At the training centre, you trained Isivunguvungu, a trainer in your own right, top trainer, Graham Motion. Now, did he ever, while you were there, sort of bump? Did he ask you a question, or did you bounce sort of ideas off one another? That's what
I was just fascinated by the whole goings on, and we chatted the whole morning basically. Obviously when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I do think they do things differently to us.
I saw Candice posted a picture of a horse wish in Akawal.
Yeah.
Back in yeah.
Yeah. No, it can happen. No, it can happen. It's all down to horsemanship skills. Obviously, at a meeting like the Breeders' Cup, you've got top horses, you've got top exercise riders, you've got great trainers. So the professionalism that was around me in the whole time was very impressive to see. Those horses were pampered to the max. Every horse, obviously they assigned their own day. The chap that was looking after Isivunguvungu was in love with him.
There was a great picture of him standing with just
Odwa, yeah, and giving.
Yes,
that was outstanding.
We gave him the I can't remember.
I was surprised. There is a name for it.
what do you call it?
Okay, that's it. Yeah. So we gave it to him, and he put it straight on, and he never took it off. He never took it off the whole day. And we also gave Graham one, and he said, well, if he were to win, he promised us that he would wear it in the winner's circle.
Okay.
So they had it with them there at the races.
That was a wonderful one. And again, Hollywood again, sending Odwa and his wife up. I mean, that was just...
Odwa and his wife
were
were spectacular on the race day. When they came down for us to all get in the bus, we were all blown away by their attire. Absolutely impressive. And a credit to them. They're a lovely couple, and I think they thoroughly enjoyed their experience. So.
Yeah, and it is again. It's not about the promotional. It's just a fact. We know Hollywood in the Cape KZN. We know what's happening, but they don't leave a stone unturned. You were set. Odwell was set. The photographer was set. If they don't leave a stone unturned, and that's the reason.
And the whole trip was so well organised. They, from my perspective, that's between Devon and Ian, they were scheduled bus times for us, and there was a WhatsApp group, and we were going to meet here at that time and here at that time, and so everything was very well organised.
Devon's a really phenomenal. I don't think that bloke sleeps at
night. No, he doesn't. Because he was sending messages at 3 o'clock in the morning.
You're often missing. Absolutely. You get messages at 3 o'clock in the morning. Anthony Delpesh, he went in and out. I think he obviously flew in, flew out like everybody did. But did you get a chance to enjoy a bit of a social? Did you manage to have dinner together or a beer together? Or was there time for that?
It was great. Obviously, the bus was there to take us to the races, and both days of racing that we went to, as we got back on the bus, the beers were ready, so the boys and girls were in very good spirits on the way home, and we all gathered in a hotel that we were all staying at after the races. So there was a lot of fun to be had, and camaraderie and banter, and Mike de Kock was there, so
So who was it?
Yep, Michael de Kock.
Oh, was he there as well?
So
Okay.
he held it for a couple of times.
I'm sure we did.
Craig Kisbetter was there. It was just a great experience all around. So
Pete, there's just two more things to discuss, and then we can let you go back because we know you're a busy man. Could you just list the countries? Where have horses taken you, Peter Muscutt and your family? I mean, we know Daniel is there, but where have the horses taken you?
obviously Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, the Middle East. I've raced as much as I can in the UK, obviously, following Daniel around. And that was my first trip to the States, so there's not too many places I haven't been.
Sure. Lovely.
And that's certainly, the Breeders' Cup's always been in my bucket list. Tick that one. I still want to go to Cheltenham and I still want to go to Royal Ascot. So, the racing I experienced while I was in Australia was phenomenal. Very privileged to be there during the time. Olympics and numerous other very good horses. But I feel content that I've done a lot.
Yes, absolutely. You are. It is a very good. There's a lovely scenery. It certainly is. Last question. You leave your entire business. You go halfway across the world. Who's your team? We know Roz. I mean, Roz is a familiar face that everybody gets on. But who's your team?
I've got a great team behind me, and a lot of the success of the yard has to be attributed to them. My foreman, Tush, has international experience as well. He worked in Australia. He was previously with Summerhill Stud, and he was there for many years. So his horsemanship skills, his dedication to his job, he's out at the top floor. His 2IC is a young man by the name of Taylor Boysons. He's risen up the ranks through sheer determination. He has a natural affinity with horses. He's a great man to have in the yard too. He's very relaxed and his skills are of the highest order. And we also have I have a very experienced assistant trainer in Vanessa Beats. Been in the game for many years. She's fitted very well into our system because it's probably not like any other training system in the yard where I spend a lot of my time on my computer, plotting, planning, making sure that everything's in order heading into every day, and she's been a great help from that perspective, and her horsemanship skills. Having been in that for many years, she's very suitably qualified for the position she holds.
Pete, it's been an absolute pleasure. As I say, we don't want to hold you up too long because we know that you're a busy chap. And just thank you for sharing a bit of your experience with us. Thank you for all that you've done in Isivunguvungu's career to get him where he is. And just lovely to share your story. And thanks very much for your time. That's all I can say to you.
One more question. Where is Isivunguvungu going?
Right, he left. He has been invited to Hong Kong, but I think they're going to rather bypass that. The final decision has been made, by the way, but he flew on Tuesday morning to Florida, where he's going to have a short let up, although he hasn't been overstressed the whole year, and basically he's only had the 3 races. So, but it was an arduous journey over, and he had it all to do after the quarantine stage, 2 months doing nothing. So all your residual fitness goes, or muscle tone goes. So I think Graham and his team did an outstanding job to get him back to where he should be, fit enough to be competitive and win the De Haas Stakes first up. So his last run in the beginning of January. So that was a phenomenal effort on their part. As I say, I'm not quite sure of the route that he's going to take, but when I spoke to Graham post-race, his thoughts were to give him a short let-up, let him have some sun on his back in Florida, because where he's based up in the north, obviously the winter's very brutal there. So it's much kinder and more productive on the horse to keep them in the southern states where it's warmer. Probably have a run or two in the States, and then probably look at Dubai World Cup night. It's probably the more logical route to take with him. And depending on how he goes there, they may even have a stab at Royal Ascot King's Sand Stakes. So that would be the route that I would assume would be taken. But he because he's free to travel anywhere in the world now. Obviously Hong Kong, Japan. There's some massive stake races in Australia that he could take part in the new market handicapped. They're great races to compete in, and far-fed on races too. But he's best at South.
Good question. What a story. We're going to watch it and follow, obviously, with great interest. But that's a wrap from us. We're out of time, and thanks to Peter, and thanks to absolutely everybody that's connected to Isivunguvungu, and of course our other South African horse, Beach Bomb, that was there represented on the race day. And we know that the export protocols have been lifted, and our product's going to be showcased all over the world. Of that we have no doubt. But from Andrew Harrison, Peter Muscutt, the team behind the scenes, myself, Warren Inferno, have a good week's punting, plenty of racing action and betting opportunities to come your way. And we were certainly proudly South African. We will continue to be proudly South African. Isivunguvungu and Beach Bomb, all the best from us. And be nice, be kind, and we'll see you as always in the number one box.